Greetings, this is your host, Cosmos. If you checked out the last episode of the Wildlife of Cybertron, then you would have known we talked about the scarabs, but in today's episode, as promised, we're taking a look at the Spaceslug, and I am going to be talking about the Groundcrawlers as well, because Groundcrawlers are just smaller Spaceslug, who unfortunately have been hunted to extinction. Now, I'm going to be using a lot of footage from people like Ironhide and Warpath. I tried to ask Optimus if I could get his accounts on Spaceslug, because he seemed very knowledgeable about it. He's rather busy, which honestly I can understand. The Decepticons just got done attacking Iacon not too long ago, and then out of nowhere, Metroplex City turned into a giant titan. So I'm not too sure if he's always been there, or if Optimus did something to transform the city into this titan. He seems very interesting. Maybe I should do a Wildlife of Cybertron on him. That was a joke. We finally get to the moment everyone in this series has been waiting for. The Spaceslug. I personally love the Spaceslug. So, off the bat, Spaceslug are deep within Cybertron's core and one of the integral defense mechanisms of Primus. Follow the teachings of Primus and are under the belief that our great creator turned himself into the very planet we walk on and created the 13 primes. It also created multiple wildlife as well, which makes sense because every single animal in Cybertron plays a part in the ecosystem in cooling down the core as well as eating away at corruption. Spacelugs can feel the intent of the person they're talking to. Now, they can't exactly talk back, but I don't know, they're a really good judge of character. You might be wondering, what do Spacelugs eat? Well, usually they consume energon just like us. I like to think of them as kind of an antibody. If there is corruption, they can actually filter it. Usually Spacelugs' main job is eating away at any corruption that would hurt the core and the planet as a whole, such as dark energon. Yes, I know Decepticons watch this broadcast. I'm sorry, but these are just the facts. Dark energon was inherently bad because it is a corruption. We will get to corrupted Cybertronian wildlife later in the series, and it's actually really interesting. Now, despite being very peaceful, they seem to be able to manifest turrets on their back. Now, I don't know how they do this, no one knows how they do this, but Cybertronians can interface. Maybe this is something ancient Cybertronians modified Spacelugs in order to do? Maybe back during the Age of Primes, they would duel on Spacelugs. I think that's really funny, so that's what we're going with. Unfortunately, Optimus, Ironhide, and Warpath saw many Spacelugs being abused by Decepticons, and Spacelugs don't really seem to like Decepticons that much. I'm just saying. Megatron corrupted the planet with dark energon, and then only when Optimus was made worthy was the core able to shut down properly. We will come back in a few billion years and reboot the core. Just because you saw the core was working somewhat fine when Megatron went in, and then when Optimus went in, and when he came out it stopped working, doesn't mean that he killed the planet. Megatron was slowly doing so. If anything, he saved it. Although, I do lament the loss of many Cybertronian wildlife that caused. But honestly, this just seems like Decepticon propaganda. Sorry, I may have went off on a tangent. I know some Decepticons watch my broadcast, and there are some really nice Decepticons out there. Like, I'm really good friends with the Combaticons, as well as Soundwave. Soundwave's awesome. Before we move on to Groundcrawlers, I have a weird theory. So, you guys remember back in the War for Cybertron, before our scientists got outfitted with heal beams from Perceptor, we used to use the healing ray? Well, doesn't it kind of look like a Spaceslug? I mean, look at it, the shape of the gun. Also, the 3 prongs on the front kind of looks like the mouth of a Spaceslug. And Spacelugs are known to heal. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Anyways, the Groundcrawlers. A lot of people believe Groundcrawlers to be pests which lived on Cybertron during the War for Cybertron, and Yes, I say lived because, as I mentioned previously, they've been hunted to extinction. A lot of bots on either side of the conflict hunted them to extinction under the belief that it would increase their mobility, strength, dexterity, firepower, and just give them more energy. Whether or not anyone can confirm this is beyond me because they've all been hunted to extinction. Thanks guys. There's another species we lost in the war. As to why anyone considers them pests is beyond me, but they are kind of a cousin of the Spaceslug. They can not just be found underground, but also above ground, can also be found in big cities, unlike the Spacelugs, which are primarily underground. They also have a few defensive mechanisms. They can produce spikes, emit small bursts of energy, they can even generate a protective force field around themselves. I know a guy who can do that, but if the person chasing them gets too close, they can burrow down into the ground and go deeper into Cybertron's core. I'm gonna be honest, I miss these little guys. No, air raids killed a lot of them.
Now that's what I'm talking about! Ugh! What is that thing? Are those teeth? What's it gonna take with this guy? I can already feel it searing my circuits. Overkill? Maybe, but I'm fine with that.
Anyways, who's to say that they would have survived the dark energon in the core anyways? Well, a lot of species on Cybertron are now extinct, so I doubt it matters much anyways. But currently, we're still waiting on the Earth to leave, so I'm really hoping I get this series done before we actually have to take off and leave. I don't know what the Decepticons are gonna do, but you guys are able to get off this planet as well. Anyways, that does it for this Wildlife of Cybertron. Cosmos out. Next episode. Oh, my head is scrambled. Where am I? Oh no, 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 no. Primus, no. You're not him. No. Okay. I can find a way out of this. Losing consciousness. Where did Shockwave go? I can't...
Finally, a willing volunteer for today's experiment.